IF 25 have been renting a house since I was 18, 7 years. When I moved in, the backyard was a large piece of dirt, no lawn or anything, just a decently big backyard with a fence all around. It was a cheap but not great house, but I signed because I wanted the backyard space. Over the past few years I erected a small garden shed, greenhouse and pizza oven transportables, planted lots of veggie gardens in big transportable garden beds, and put down some nice pavers, an aquaponics setup, and generally made the backyard a really green and beautiful place to be. It became the green oasis all my friends gathered at. A few months ago, my landlords let me know they were planning to sell, and my final move-out day was a week ago. When I left, I brought my garden with me to my new place. Nothing in my last backyard was directly planed into the ground, and nothing permanent. I dismantled the sheds and greenhouse, loaded up all the pots and garden beds onto a truck and cleared the backyard in 3 days with lots of help. My former landlords are furious over this, and demand that I return the backyard to the former state. Apparently they'd listed the house for sale with pictures of the backyard and potential buyers were walking away from the house when they saw the barren backyard. They're accusing me of stealing their plants, and wrecking the backyard. Legally I'm fine, my contract said I could garden, and I have photos from the first real estate walkthrough. Before I moved in that show that the backyard was in the same state as I first found it, although with more fertile soil now probably. The same real estate agent signed off my final inspection, and I got my deposit back. I've received mixed responses though, because I saw the landlords taking pictures of my backyard before I left but didn't make the connection because AmItheAsshole when pictures of a house has furniture in it, you don't expect to also get free furniture. Some of my co-workers suggested that AITA because the house valuation certainly has fallen dramatically because I didn't tell them I was taking my garden with me, so they couldn't plan to landscape before lockdown hit. TLDR AITA for moving my garden that I built from my former rental house into my new house, upsetting my former landlords who didn't expect me to take it with me.
NTA. You invested your time, money, and energy into creating your space. I assume your landlord did not compensate you for your gardening activities. Therefore they have no claim to your garden. They should have asked you whether you'd be leaving your garden behind if they wanted to advertise their property properly. If I was in your position, I would also take the garden when I moved.
NTA Not at all. If the owners want the garden looking nice they pay up and put in the effort themselves. Their house value is not your responsibility and any decent owner will put money into a property after a long-term tenant has been there.
NTA. They used your property as a selling point. That's not your fault. They can easily hire someone to do some planting.
NTA It's all temporary structures you paid for and can take with you. The landlord is just salty because he tried to pull a fast one and it didn't work. It reminds me of that story of the company that was asked to leave their premises and the landlord listed the building as ready to move in, just rebrand, and the company ripped out everything they'd installed and sold the goods to help pay wages during the current situation. TBH I'd love to see this written in a revenge subreddit.
How dare you take away plants and outdoor furniture that you paid for? Now we won't get extra money for something we didn't buy and set up in the first place. NTA.
NTA. This is a very classic story of landlord trying to benefit of home improvements paid for by the tenant. If your landlord was honest, he would have asked you how much you wanted to leave the garden as it was. You owe him nothing.
NTA They didn't build the garden and you left it in the state it was first in. They tried to sell the house with all your hard work still there, which is not theirs to sell.
NTA Fuck I was hoping you literally took the backyard with you though.
Also a renter here, and I've spent the past few months working out in our garden. My landlord benefits from the fact I keep the trees, hedge and shrubs healthy and pruned. Several trees died not long after we moved in because of his neglect, because they were so badly choked by ivy. He lived in the house before deciding to move to another so he could rent this one out. Every year I acquire a few more pots, another ornament or two. This year it was a hanging basket tree and more plants. You'd better believe it's all going with me whenever we move, and that includes the pink plastic flamingos. If you were an artist and the landlords listed the house with photos of your paintings on the wall, would they expect you to leave your artwork behind? You've done nothing wrong, and you are definitely NTA. Your landlords can pull their finger out and improve their own property. They weren't concerned about you moving into a place looking like waste ground 7 years ago, were they?